Hey everybody. So last Sunday we were supposed to do a live Skype call with Richie down in Brazil. From Brazil, he and his wife and family and his Vineyard church in Portel, Brazil, do the water filter ministry. And we couldn't make that happen with all the stuff going on. He was busy. Internet connection down there was super slow. So anyways, he and I have been talking this week, and we kind of did a little something together here where he answered some of the questions and sent them to me. So we're going to do a makeshift interview so that you can get an idea of what's happening down in Brazil with the water filter ministry. Also, this Sunday is Easter Sunday. This is the day that we will take up an offering for you can give $50 to buy a wheelchair for those in Vietnam. You could for $180 feed a child in Haiti for 1 full year, or for $195 you could purchase a water filter for somebody who lives in the Amazon region in Brazil, and those water filters are a lifetime. So anyways, that is this Sunday. Be in prayer about what you would like to give, how many, if you know, 1, 2, or all 3 of these ministries you would like to support, and let's together be a blessing for those around the world. Amen. So listen, Richie, first question. How long have you been doing the water filter ministry in Brazil, and what was your motivation for getting involved in this?
Well, first of all, I'd like to begin by just saying hello and a great big thank you to all of our friends at the Vineyard Community Church. Just really appreciate you guys and miss you guys. So in response to your question, how long we've been doing this? So we started producing the filters in 2003. So 2002, we'd made a couple filters, but by 2003, we actually went into full-time production with the water filters and installing them in the river villages. And really the water filter project, it was just birthed out of a real need that we saw. So in 1999, when Christy and myself moved to the Amazon, we started working on the rivers. We started experiencing firsthand a lot of the sicknesses that the river people experience. We started having a lot of stomach ailments and getting parasites and stuff like that. But also we had a lot of people, they would come to us just looking for medical help, any medicines that we might have and anything that we could do. And so when we found out about the water filter project, it just seemed like it was something really practical and effective that we could do just to show people love, but just really meet a real practical need in their lives. So that's how we began.
Okay, so last year a team of us went down. We were down in Portel, Brazil for 2 weeks with Richie and his family and the church down there. And we were able to, with the water filters that you purchased, Vineyard Community Church, we were able to supply water filters to an entire community of homes, also a school. So Richie, can you give us a little bit of a report or anything that you've heard back from people in that area? What's happening with those filters? Any good news from them, or anything else you could share with us?
I've had a lot of positive feedback from one of the communities where the team put the water filters in last year. I bumped into several people here in town, and they told me what a difference that the water filters had made on their health and the health of the students at the school where we put the water filters in. And they just said it solved their problem completely. And so we had a lot of other people come and ask about water filters and wanting them on their rivers. So since then, we've actually been installing the water filters on other rivers. And then we had some problems with the boat, so we haven't been back to that specific community yet. So we're hoping as soon as the boat's back in the water in a few more weeks or a month, we'll be able to go back there. But one of the things that's really exciting is one of the communities that we visited with the team last year, there is a gentleman, and he was building a little church building there. And some of the people on the team, they took up an offering and they helped him buy some of the roof tiles to cover the roof. And leading up to that, I had done some church services there, some small groups, and I had just talked to him about bringing good things into his community. Talked about the idea of being a leader and how a a lot of communities, people will hold parties and bring alcohol and just end up bringing a lot of problems into their communities, and a lot of negative things that really affect their children in a really negative way. And I started talking about ways that he could be a leader and bring good things into his area. So he started building that church so that he could host us when we went there. Sadly, a couple months ago, his father, who I'd been praying with and meeting with regularly, passed away. And the family was here in town. The father, he'd had some heart issues. He was getting some tests done. And so when he passed away, the family sought me out. And we ended up doing several church services. So here it's kind of normal that when somebody passes, they'll hold a wake for about 24 hours. And in the case of this family, they were waiting for some of their relatives to show up from a distant city. And so they asked us if we would do church services. And so we ended up, over the course of a few days, holding 6 different church services for members of their family and friends. And then about a week or so later, they asked us if we would do another church service. And so we were able to share the gospel with lots of people. And it was just a really exciting time, because I just saw these people that they were really leaning and looking to God through this difficult time. But also they just saw how their dad, who prior to this, he had had a real problem with alcohol in his life, and they saw the difference as he was moving closer to the Lord. They saw the difference, the impact that God was making in his life. And so as a result of that, several people, they've given their hearts to the Lord, and they're part of our Vineyard Church now, part of our Vineyard Church family. So
Richie, your church, Vineyard Church in Portel, has a beautiful property. Banana trees, coconut trees, a soccer field for kids to come and play in, beautiful church building, and also you're building a school in there, right? A Sunday school, I think. So can you give us just an update on what's happening with the Vineyard, with our Vineyard family in Portel?
Well, it is true. We have a very beautiful piece of property there. We built a soccer field, and we have the volleyball nets out there. On Saturdays, there's a soccer school for the younger kids. During the week, a lot of the kind of the rougher characters in the neighborhood, they come out and they play soccer every day, and that's really made a huge impact. Sadly, a lot of the people that are on that soccer team or come and play soccer daily, they've been killed by police or went to jail. But there's also been a lot of other people, I would say, have turned their lives around through just the witness of the people that are going out there and ministering to them. And we've also, just with the kids that go out there on a daily basis, we've really been able to get involved in their lives, and they've integrated into the life of the church, which has been really exciting. So right now, we're also kind of going through the same quarantine measures that you're probably going through in the US. And so we've had to shut down some of these things. But there's a lot of people that we're still able to maintain contact with through Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and the social media. So even though the city is supposed to be on quarantine, a lot of people aren't respecting that. But as a church, we decided that we would respect the quarantine and not have any soccer or anything. But the church has really become a community hub in the area, and so it's been really interesting that even while the church area has been shut down, we've had a lot of people that are just contacting us, sharing their needs with us, asking for prayer, just sharing with us the difficult things that they're going through. And so it's just opened up a lot of opportunities to minister to people. So we're hoping that the quarantine won't last, but it's always been a goal is that that area would just be a hub, not only for people on the river, but people in the community where they can kind of come and gather and have a safe place, and where we can just build up relationship and share the Lord with those people.
One last question. Since we are a family, a Vineyard family here in the USA, with our family there in Portel, Brazil, is there anything that our church people here can be in prayer for you guys in Portel?
Well, I guess the one thing I'd really ask you guys to pray about is just how to pastor, how to lead, how as a church we can minister through this time of crisis. Even though people here in town, they're not really respecting the quarantine. I understand as well, because most of these people just live hand to mouth, and they don't have the money to go and stock up and isolate for 2 weeks at a time. But the one thing that I see is, even though they're maybe not isolating themselves, I sense that there's a real fear. So, typically here in Brazil, everywhere you go, you hear partying, you hear loud music, you hear people laughing, and you see people in front of their houses and on the streets. And all of that is kind of ground to a halt. And what I sense is there's just a real spirit of fear that has come over people. And so if you guys could just really pray against that spirit of fear, and also how we can just really encourage people with the love of Christ during this difficult time, and be creative, especially in a time, where, there is a percentage of the population, as I mentioned, has WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram, but there's also a lot of poor people that don't have access to any of those things, and trying to figure out a way that we can really kind of connect with them and encourage them too. That's the challenge. So pray about that. The other thing is just if you could really pray for the development of leaders here in this area. God tells us to pray for the workers because of the great harvest. And that's one thing that, especially in these remote areas, it's always hard to find people that are willing and available to give their lives to the cause of Christ, to serve. And it's just such a huge area. So many river villages with no witness at all. And so if you could just really join with me in praying that God would send people, that we'd be able to also raise up lots of local leaders, and the people that we raise up here in town, that they would be willing to go out onto the rivers and the remote areas and minister to the people there. So once again, I just can't thank you guys enough just for all the love that you've shown us and support, and want you guys to know that how much we just love and appreciate you guys. And we're always encouraged by your words and messages that you put up on Facebook, and the teams that come down. And our church has just really embraced your church as our sister church, and we just have a real special bond, and so grateful to the Lord for that. So thanks a lot, and really love you guys. So God bless.